Hi, this is Kalyan Karmakar, and welcome to Foodocracy for Her. This is a series where I speak to some amazing entrepreneurs in the food and beverage space who are women and who come from across India. We've spoken to people from different parts of the country who do very different types of work, but all very fascinating. I always leave these chats inspired, as I'm sure you are. And today's chat is going to be interesting because we're going to talk about a business which is now into its second generation of women. So it's started by mother, run by the daughter now. And it's also about a company which manufactures things which are close to my heart. So it's spices and pickles and masalas and papad. So I don't know how masaledar our chat is going to be, but I've been trying their products and it's definitely added a lot of flavor to our kitchen. So it's my pleasure to welcome on board Vasundhara Junjunwala, and she runs a company called Old Fashioned Gourmet. So hi Vasundhara, thanks so much for joining us today from Bangalore, right?
Yes. Hi, Kalyan.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. It has
Hi.
been an honor to know you, to be in touch with you, and then follow your journey. You're quite the maverick yourself, and that is very inspiring. And thanks for having me over.
Thank you. I mean, that's very kind of you to say so. Maverick is not a word which I would have associated with myself. I'm a very placid Bengali, but who knows? Thank you. We also have another connection in common. I think one of my former colleagues from my market research days, Dipali, is related to you.
Yes,
So do give my regards to her.
I will.
And she had introduced me to Oran Pamuk years back when I was going to Turkey on a holiday, and so I remember she loves reading books. Okay, now getting back to pickles and spices, and your company is called. I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Old Fashioned Gourmet, like I said. So and I love this mango pickle, by the way. So it's called Old Fashioned Gourmet. I wish you could smell it. It smells like those long distance Indian trains where the Gujarati or the Rajasthani family would open up the foils with the achar and the teplas and offer them to you. And back then, when I was a student, my mom had told me never take food from strangers. So I regret passing on those offers all those ways back. But Vasundhara, I'm very interested in a world where everyone wants to be a trendsetter, create something new. Um, Being a maverick is associated by treading new grounds. You've gone out and said that you're old fashioned. In fact, I remember once one of my cousins had called my mom old fashioned and she got very angry. So, how come you're proudly saying that you're old fashioned?
Um, Kalyan, this brand was coined by my mother, Srimati Shamlata Sihare. She is no more. She started this business in 93 at the age of 65, and
Wow.
she coined it old fashioned gourmet. In 93, gourmet was not really a word which was trending. So she was really ahead of her times. I would like to talk about her a bit. She was a child widow at the age of 16.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was a child widow at the age of 16 in 40s. And after that, you know how widows were treated in those days. Her grandfather brought her back because he did not want that for her. And she homeschooled and did her MA in Hindi from Agra University, sitting in Kanpur. And then one day she realized that she doesn't want to do just this. She was a white sari clad widow with short hair and all that. So she applied for MA in advertising at Michigan State University. I don't know how she did that. Yeah. And
And you guys are Marwadis, right?
yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. She
Yeah.
was married at the age
Wow.
of 13. And her
Wow.
family fully supported her, and she went.
How old was she then when she went to Michigan?
She went in 50s, late 50s, like that, early 60s. So that would be 40 years
Wow.
old, right? 30, 38, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, she didn't know how to speak English
Wow.
properly. And she went to
Wow.
Michigan and she did her MA in advertising. She came back. She worked in her family business. They were industrialists. And then she decided that she wants to work for herself. She came back to Delhi, and she became the first woman paper merchant in the Delhi paper market, paper trader, which is the male bastion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and then
In fact, I remember years back when I'd started my career in market research in 97 or so, one of the first projects we'd done was for ITC in papers. And I remember going to the old paper area in Calcutta, the commercial paper thing. And yeah, it is as male as it gets. Probably a lot of Marwari traders also were there in Calcutta. But I mean, the wholesale paper market, I'm talking 97.
It is still
and very male dominated.
It is still male dominated. I inherited that business
from
her.
I'm sure.
And I'm still the only woman paper trader today. So yeah, and then in 93 she said, no, I have to do something with pickles because this is a dying art. So she already had the paper business, but she decided to do this for the love of food. And then she started making pickles 1 kg at a time, and she realized that the masala is the problem. It doesn't taste good. So then she started sourcing the masalas, and we went to the place of origin from where they are, and slowly she got into this. So she called it old fashioned gourmet because it is old fashioned. You get the masalas from where they are. Till today, the only machine we own is one Sumit mixie. I will send you the picture. Which is like a domestic one, it is so small. I wanted to get a new one, and I called up one gentleman from that, I think that company is called Preeti or something like that. And I told him कि हमारे पास सुमीत है. He said, Madam, सुमीत को बंद हुए 16 साल हो गए हैं. Like that.
Oh, they used to make sewing machines also, right?
Yeah, singer.
Possibly.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I'm so. We have that when we have to grind rye, which is mustard. That stone thingy goes round. We use that.
Yeah.
We use a sarota to cut the mango. So everything about my brand is old-fashioned, whether it's the recipe, which is an heirloom recipe, the ingredients, the way we treat them, sun-dry them, hand-sort them. So everything about food is the way our grandmothers intended it to be. So that's old-fashioned way of making food, and actually I'm very proud of it. And I today feel that I see it actually that India is going to embrace regional foods in a very big way. In a very big way. So the new trend will be to be the old trend.
Yes. I was thinking how far-sighted she was, because like you said, I mean, India is moving back towards... so I mean, all of us, folks like you, me, Dipali, all of us probably belong to this generation which saw the transition from, a closed economy to liberalization, and we all were fascinated by the Western world or the world outside because it had been a closed economy. But I think that slowly over the last 5 years or so, we were beginning to appreciate a bit of what we have. And then this became the global trend as well, which is local food, reducing the carbon footprint. And then came the pandemic, which is now almost 12 months old, and hit us on our face, and suddenly forget local sourcing. We literally had to depend on our very own mohalla. Like when the initial pandemic happened, like down this window where I'm sitting, there used to be a guy who would come with a vegetable cart. He still comes. And that was our only source for provisions. And I think that, like you rightly said, Vasundhara, this is the trend globally and in India. And to go back. And now today, old-fashioned is the in thing. But I don't think it would have been in 93. But how fascinating was that?
Absolutely. I mean, in 93, people were still making their own spices, their own pickles. So what worked for her was that her peers were still alive at that time. So she had her own recipes, and she was able to get Xerox copies of recipes from them, which really, you're right, she was a visionary actually. And people used to come to her house and say, आपके घर का खाना इतना tasty क्यों है? And she used to say, because मेरे ingredients अच्छे और नए हैं. My spices are new, which are actually a key. I'm sure you agree.
I agree. So, you were talking about her being in advertising. So my second job was in advertising strategic planning at FCB Ulka in Mumbai, where I met my wife, who's of course still in advertising. And I remember that there were certain Indian brands which we used to work on. So there was Zodiac in clothing, Amul in milk. Ulka also handled Indica, Tata Motors, which is not something I worked on. But in each of these, there was a lot of focus and pride, especially Zodiac, Amul, which I worked on as very young stage of my career, on the quality of ingredients, so the quality of milk for Amul and Zodiac, the quality of the cloth, the stitching, and it would be hammered into our head that if the product is good, what goes into it is good. Nothing matters more. Can we see her picture? She's peeping behind you, your mom. So we've been talking about her. So that's an amazing legacy to carry forward, right?
Absolutely. It has been a blessing for me. And you know, when she was she passed away with cancer, and her last words were that "isko band mat karna," and for me it was like, how am I going to do this? But you know, she said it's okay.
Were you doing something at that point already?
You don't
Something
know.
or how? When was this? How long back?
It's in 2014, now it's going to be 7 years in 2 months.
So
I wasn't
you
doing.
were doing something else?
You know, I'm an MBA by profession. I mean, sorry, by qualification.
Yes.
And I have worked in my husband's family business, which I was on and off doing, and I was bringing up my son. So I was very content in my space. And I think my mother was very smart. She told my husband that you watch, one day she's going to do this with a bang. And I did not discontinue the business at whatever pace it was running in Delhi. We continued running it. It's a very big, I would say, part of the Delhi's Blind School Bazaar, which happens in Diwali. Kalyan, you will not believe. One day, I used to go every year when the bazaar happens in Delhi, and one day, the kind of stories I hear, it's one day one lady came with a handmade map, and she looking like this, like one Japanese tourist. Okay, so I said, she said, "Do you know where is this?" I was just a little off my pickle stall, and she said, "Do you know where is this achar masala stall?" I said,
Yes.
what is that? So she said, "Oh, my boss loves this, and she told this to me last year, and she drew it. The stall is in the same place every year. So I have
Yes.
come
Yes.
just for your stall from Gurgaon." And yeah, so there are people who come just for our old fashioned gourmet, which incidentally is known as Aravali Foods by old timers. They couldn't say, I mean, Aravali Foods is easier, and my mother is from Rajasthan. She's a Marwadi. So Aravali is
Yes.
that range, mountain range, and she truly
Yeah.
believes in the heritage. So blind school, I continued with it, and last year I said, okay, I should, maybe take it online, because this retail is not working for me. Retail I don't want to do because the scales are too much. I don't want to compromise on my quality for anything. You know, I do this in my mother's memory. If even one person says ki aapka achar acha nahi hai, I feel like I'm discrediting her and her lineage. So
Here is another of your pickles. I earlier showed the mango pickle, which I really like. Yeah, this is a nicer projection, and this is the gajar gobi shalgam with garlic. So my grandmom, who's 92, she spent a big part of her life in Delhi when my grandfather was working there. He's now no more. So I remember she used to make these gobi gajar achar still very recently, till age really got in the way. And every winter she put it together. And of course, it's not a replica, but there was something in the taste memory which, because I'm more a mango pickle person, but this brought back some of those memories. And I found it very interesting that you said that the Japanese people were coming in and trying to find out, and that's what I was speaking the other day in the clubhouse chat where you were there and I was there, that when you went to Japan and there's such lovely storytelling about their food culture, and deservedly so. But I mean, similar stories can be said about Indian food culture and philosophy, and so many stories. So the Japanese are I think it's time that we Indians do that as well.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's time that we Indians do that as well. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing the kind, when I see people eat, whether it's Indians or non-Indians, I when they eat their pickle I mean at the stall, I could see people one on one, right? I cannot tell you, it's like a slow motion there when they put the pickle in the mouth, how their reaction was, their eyes pop. Then there is a little bit of confusion because they are jogging their memory and going back to their childhood. Then there
Yeah.
is, it's like realization what is happening. Then there's this little smile, and then their eyes light up. It's a
Yes.
joy for me. That is my reward. And then one person will come and say, ये
Yes.
तो आगरा में हमारी मौसी जी बनाती थी ऐसा अचार. So
Yeah,
yeah.
the mango pickle brought back memories for me, a bit like when I moved into Mumbai. I used to stay in a Punjabi household, and the mango pickle, which would always be on their table, it reminded me of that. Or I've not kept that here, but your chaat masala, which I've been using a lot to sprinkle on condiments and stuff, and then there is the bhindi stuffed masalas. In some cases it's discoveries. Maybe I have not always had the same thing before. In some cases, they are familiar. I'm still looking to try out some more stuff. Like this is the aloo dum masala. So is this like a Rajasthani style aloo dum? Because I mean, aloo dum is also a Bengali thing.
So
So is this a
Amma called this curry in a hurry. She again coined it. She's from advertising. You can imagine how she must be. She called it,
oh yeah,
yeah, curry
yes,
in a hurry. This was also not my addition, a value addition for the brand. So what she did was that
yes, it is curry in a hurry. Yes, I can see that.
yeah, yeah.
Curry in a hurry. Yeah.
So
Yes.
aloo dum is also Banarsi aloo dum. Of course,
Yes.
now that I've started reading about food heritage and travel, I think the recipe changes a bit by bit as the people travel. They took it from here. So actually, this has posto in it. So you're right. This could
Yeah.
be, yeah,
Khaskhas.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It has khaskhas in it. So this is Amma's thing when she was actually developing the recipe. She would keep the ingredients in a thali and keep reducing and playing with them. And then one day we just hit gold. This was the first edition in our curry nahari. Now, of course, we have many. And I can proudly say my thing to curry nahari was the Mangalore style ghee roast masala, which I developed myself because my teenage boy loved it, and he used to order out all the time. And then he started complaining.
It's a big thing in Bangalore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big thing in
It's a
Bangalore.
big thing in Bangalore.
And then he started complaining because his nails were red after he used to finish eating. Because they add
The
they
color.
add color. They do not add biadige chili, which is supposed to be added to it. So me being in Bangalore, I spoke to a lot of my Mangalorean friends, chefs, did trials, sent it to all my friends, and tweaked it. One day I actually called from a restaurant and ate both together because I was more interested for my son. And then, of
Yes.
course, ghee roast has become a very iconic for old-fashioned gourmet today, as has Gajar Gobi Shalgam, which also, I call up one of my Punjabi friends, and she told me that my mother-in-law has a very good recipe. So I spoke to her mother-in-law and detailed talking, each steps in 2-3 times, and Gajar Gobi Shalgam, as you love it too. I love it too. People eat it by the jar and they call me and say,
Yes.
it's very
Because it's not
small.
very it's not very tikha. It's not tikha at all. So it doesn't hit your and I can't handle too high levels of chili heat. I mean, obviously the ingredients are good because it doesn't give any acidity later. And and I'm glad you're doing this because I had the good fortune of going to Bangalore a couple of years back. I just went on a discovery trip by myself, and there was a friend of mine who'd gone to pick up his wife from there. So the brother-in-law as we drove down to all of that. Then from Bangalore, I went to 100-year-old shop, and which Shreya Shetty took me to. She's also making a ghee roast masala, and I bought those masalas and brought it home. But the thing is that it's unless you're a traveler or you're from the south, you don't, and you know that because when you were in Delhi, you probably didn't really know much about it. So when someone like you takes it out and brings it to a national scale, I just feel that like someone on YouTube was commenting on a video which I did from one of the places in Pune, and they thought I was Maharashtrian and said that why aren't you speaking in Marathi? So I said that first of all I'm Bengali, and so I can speak to you in Bangla, but ওইটা তুমি বুঝতে পারবে না. And secondly, like if we use a common language, it's just that more people can get to discover our heritage, which you are doing through bringing these things like the Punjabi one. It's not from your repertoire. And tell me a bit about Old Fashioned Gourmet, the enterprise, the place. Describe it a bit to me as it stands today.
So
The workshop, who does it, where do you source it from, who are your suppliers? Just to sort of draw us a bit of a picture of your enterprise.
So, Old Fashioned Gourmet is completely homemade in my house in Noida by my family, my team of staff who are my family today. They have been with us for more than 30 years. They live there.
Wow.
Yeah, they're trained by my mom. And we all our only objective in life is what would Amma say? Whenever we are at a crossroad with Old Fashioned Gourmet, and for me in life, so for example, she would like once somebody sent her we get papad made by ladies in Calcutta and in Banaras who my mother has trained and empowered. They never used to work earlier. She sent them the family recipe, explained to them, it used to come back, go back. Once they used Kali Mirchi, which was she called them and said, you have not used black pepper, you have used the chilka of the black pepper, don't do that. Now that level of nuanced palate, right? So we go back to what would Amma say. That is our quality check. It's a go or no go, like that. So everything is made in the house with the hand and with the help of sun and air and rains. The vegetables come in different seasons. And I did the rebranding of the brand last year when I wanted to put it on the website because people cannot taste it, so it has to look good on the website.
Yeah.
And so I did the rebranding. My father was into art, so if you see the label, it has a watercolor border. The border is watercolor in the pickle, for example.
Like this one?
Yeah, it's a brush. It's a brush, right? So I brought in a bit of my father.
Yeah, the green thing, yes.
Yeah. And my mother was into cross stitching and knitting and everything. So if you see the top label, there's a needle thread going along on the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like how the pockets in jeans will have, like a guy would be able to relate to that. But in denim trousers, your pockets would have stitches.
So that's
like
the stitching.
As a guy, I'm able to sort of relate more to that. Yes.
So the border is stitched because my mother liked to do cross stitch. So, and I love watercolor painting, so I brought in that part. And these are 3 stickers, 3 labels on it that cost 3 times what one would cost. I could just do a long one. But for me, it is my joy and my pride, how I would like to see it. And the bottle is of course imported because I did not want to do a regular bottle because I like to reuse this bottle in my fridge. I put all my chutneys, my dressings, everything in it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
So
that's a very old-fashioned thing to do. That's a very old-fashioned thing to reuse bottles, which we do as well. Yes.
To recycle and so I do everything. And today also I will only send you stuff which I like, Kalyan, of it. So for example, I am not a khatta eating person. So unless somebody says that they like khatta achar, I will not push the khatta achar. I will only push what I like because this whole brand is an extension of me today. Now, of course, all our sales are online. I made the website last year, which is also handmade, homemade, because this is a brand for passion. There was no big budget, and I did not know I'll be able to sell online. So I went to Shopify, and I saw that it's like $30 per month. I said, okay, I'll give myself 2 months. If it works, it's okay. Otherwise, then I will outsource it. So I read YouTube blogs,
Yes.
other blogs, and
Wow.
Shopify is actually very plug and play in a way, right? And 3 months later,
Yeah, like I still use Blogspot for my blog. It's quite plug and play.
yeah, it's quite plug and play.
Though your website looks lovely, of course.
Thank you. And then I did many classes, online classes. No, sorry. In those days, there were no online classes for food photography, food styling. And then I clicked my own pictures, bought some props, and I clicked all the pictures. I did all the content writing myself because I know what everything tastes like, and I'm eating that since I was a child. So I made it.
Yes.
So today I do the, of course, social media, web back end of the website, order processing. I have one phone where the customers write WhatsApp, so I reply to them. So it's just my five home staff and me. We 6 people. We do everything for the brand.
Wow. It's really amazing because you know since the pandemic started, there's so many people who started as home chefs, bakers, making spices and condiments. I think 95% of them would be women. There have been cases where they have actually now running the family with businesses shutting down or jobs going and things like that. So I've been working a fair bit over the last few months, often like consulting them, doing workshops. And even yesterday, I was speaking with someone who wants to uh, do cakes and very, very interesting, like her family background and lives a couple of lanes away from me. And I was telling her, and you're a great example of this, that you can set aside money to invest in it if you have the money. But sometimes as a small entrepreneur, one doesn't have. So I, for example, do everything by myself. So I don't have a team. I've not hired anyone. Just because of the work from home, sometimes I snatch my wife away from a very important meetings and say, hold the camera and while I talk. But that's about it. She, of course, named Find Reach Out the blog and the book, The Traveling Belly. But what I was telling her is that our stories are our own. And even Pooja Dhingra of Love 15 was once saying, and the same advice in Foodocracy for her, is that there are a lot of these software around which is either not too expensive or even free. Like I use InShot for my video editing and things like that. And then it's your own baby, right? So when you're doing it for yourself, you will try to do the best of your own effort, and then you can school yourself. So like you were saying about food photography, so I recently did Varnika Awal's food photography course online, and I think that it's made a difference to my photograph over the last couple of weeks. You also took my great product. So like even now, all these little bits, like the watercolor is from your dad's side of his love for water painting, or these cross stitches of your mom's side, and of course the bottles. I was quite impressed when I saw even the plastic packs which look like bottle shape. I've still not opened the Lal Mirchi thing yet, and also the way the packaging came, because some of them are liquid bottles, but they came also. So that must be also costing quite a bit. And you were talking of papad. So this is a papad which you sent. I was obviously been using it. Bijora tin papad. Tell us a bit about this, because it's a very interesting thing. So it looks like this. So it almost looks like little biscuits, and till is sesame, and there were options of microwaving it or frying it, or air fryer. So I put it in the air fryer with a few drops of oil, and it comes out very well. It's very brilliantly tasted, lovely texture, little bits of chili and stuff like that. So tell me a bit about the Bijora till papad.
Oh, Kalyan. My father is from Madhya Pradesh, near Mandla. And this is a heirloom family recipe called Bijora, which is very popular in Jabalpur area. This is actually, now to put it in today's context and make it relevant, it is the ancient Indian protein bar. Which,
Wow,
yeah.
and it's not sweet.
No.
Unlike the protein bars, which come stuffed with jaggery or gold and all that, this is like even diabetic friendly, I'm guessing, because it's not sweet. It's savory.
It is gluten free, sugar,
Wow.
lactose free, grain free, Grain, no.
Everything's free.
It is.
Sorry, sir, it's a slightly decimated package, but
Yeah. So, and this is plant-based. It has no wheat in it. It has, and of course, all my products, I only use pink Himalayan salt. We don't own regular table salt in our house. I mean, everybody eats regular pink Himalayan salt. We have never got regular salt in our house. So, in this also, there is pink Himalayan salt. So, this is a recipe from my father's side of the family, which I have grown up eating as a child. So I to crush it in my dal chawal and eat it. But now, of course,
yeah, like a dal bati.
yeah. You know, like a little
Yes.
bit of a crunch.
Churma.
Yeah, a little bit of crunch.
Churma, yeah.
Yeah. So now, of course, to make it more relevant, I had to, when friends used to come over, I used to serve it like that, air fried with the drinks. So everybody's really happy. And then you're just eating seeds, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
Bijora is just till, which is sesame. And I'm taking out a new version of it, which is another old recipe, which will have the pumpkin seeds in it. So
Wow.
it is.
So all the trendy hipster things, huh? So the ladies of Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan were quite the hipster.
Yeah. So it is.
Our grannies were hipsters.
They were total hipsters, you know. I mean, they were trendsetters actually. So it is beej ka bijora because it has beej in it, like that.
Beej as in seed.
Seeds, yes.
Beej as in
And
CD.
in the olden days, there was no refrigerators, there was no storage things, obviously no preservatives. So in the summer months when the sun was strong, they would make these things and preserve them, put them dried. Once it's dried, it cannot get spoiled, right? And then you keep consuming it throughout the year. So this is a part of that. It's like a papad family. And now, of course, when I have to sell it to people, people means if I have to market it to somebody, even my friend, I will tell her, when you make a oriental salad which has sesame or soya sauce in it, sprinkle this on top after air frying or frying. Or even Lebanese food, because Lebanese tahina, everything is rich in sesame. So in that, just put it on the side. There is an element of mystery because it has sabudana in it. So when it goes in your mouth, it pops. And it's Bijora, you will not believe, so many people have WhatsApp me and they say, thank you, because we didn't know where to get it from. हम बचपन में खाते थे, मौसी जी बनाती थी, like that. It gives me so much joy, I can't tell you.
I like the way you also think in terms of how to make it acceptable to people who've not had it in their bachpan or childhood. So I'll give you an example. Because sesame is such a versatile thing. A couple of years back, there was a team which Canadians who ran a restaurant in Vancouver, I think, whom had taken on a food walk in Dadar in Mumbai, to Maharashtrian area, because they were doing Indian food and they were very interested to see. So we went, we finished at this restaurant called Aswad, and at that point, Aswad was doing ice creams which were based on local Indian Maharashtrian flavors. So there was a Puran Poi ice cream.
No.
And then there was a Tilgud ice cream. So Puran Poi, as you know, is the sort of pancake-ish thing with dal and jaggery stuffing. And Tilgud is basically black sesame. So, we went and had it. Now, those Canadians didn't have a context to either. So for the Puran Poi, what we did was they had the ice cream, and then we had fresh Puran Poi with, the milk and ghee and all of that. And being food people and chef, they could connect the fact that the flavors were the same and, the texture and all that, but in ice cream format. But when they had the Tilgud ice cream, it was sort of a universal thing because
Sorry, I
had
missed
black
that.
sesame ice cream.
What did you say? Tilgud ice cream?
There's a certain universal thing to it because they've had black sesame flavored ice creams in Japan or in Bangkok and so on. So, I was quite fascinated when I was listening to you also because food tells us stories of India which go beyond geography, stories of the subcontinent. So, like, for example, if you take the simple aloo dum, so what in Bengal we know as aloo dum, some of the, really popular places for the kachori and aloo dum in Calcutta, like, say, Ganguram Sweets, or there's Maharani at Deshapur Park, and a lot of places like these. I figured out that the people who started it had all come in from Banaras. So a lot of the puri bhaji Shingara, Kochuri Aloo Dum or the Shingara tradition of Calcutta has actually come from UP.
Yeah.
So even the fuchkas, which we are very proud of, the chaat, it's all come from the north.
Lucknow,
You know,
yes.
but in Calcutta, it took its own unique shape, which makes us so, for example, using maida for puris or mustard oil, which again is used a lot in Punjab. Or yesterday I was having home cooked Odia food by Sneha Senapati. She lives in Mumbai. Like you, she unfortunately has also lost her mom to cancer, and she does home cooked food as a tribute to her mom, and I'm sure she does her proud every time. And as I was having each of these dishes, I could feel like there was this mustard oil aroma and taste which is binding us. And then again, Madhya Pradesh. So there's a restaurant called Som in Mumbai. I don't know if you've eaten there. It's Gujarati food. I like it. It's an a la carte thing. So it's run by the Gujarati lady Pinky Chandan Dixit, but her husband is from Madhya Pradesh. So she has one a dish from her husband's side, which is the Matar Kachori and Aloo Ka Sabzi in winter. And I was doing a kachori trail or puri trail in Mumbai a few years back. So I had that. Then I went to the mustard restaurant, which is also run by two women, and had the Karaishuti Kochori, the Bengali one, which is with maida and this thing. Interesting to see that how there's a certain base flavor which connects us. So I'm sure this is probably something which you've also been realizing over the last few years, especially the more you've got closer into the business. What is your take on this?
So I am now deep diving into Indian food. Coincidentally, I am reading Sai Karone's book Pangat, and I have
Maharashtrian food,
I'm
yes.
deep diving into Maharashtrian food. Like I told one of my friends, let us go to Kolhapur only to eat, And luckily, because of some good part of the pandemic is that you can't go out of India, so you are forced to look within, right? I mean, earlier I would have not. I mean, I didn't know about Maharashtrian food, but so in fact, there is a puri. Now that you talk of puri, there is a puri called Chausila, which is a Bundelkhandi food.
Oh.
Yeah. So in Madhya Pradesh, urad dal is used in a lot of foods. It's obviously
Yes.
native to that place. So Chausila is made with. So I read a lot of. There's not too much known about Bundelkhandi food. For example, by the way, Bijora is from Bundelkhand. So Chausila is made with.
I think Bundelkhand is also famous for the dacoits and all, right?
Yeah, Pulak Devi used to eat Bijora maybe.
so there's a papad which fueled the dacoits.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
So Chausila is made with urad ki dal ka aata, chawal ka aata, and in fact I got a whole recipe here this is my notes. I called up all my cousins. See, I wrote Chausila also. I like doing like that. So I wrote Chausila over here, and I took the recipe from 3-4 people. So urad ki dal ka aata, besan, aata, moong ki dal ka aata, and chawal ka aata.
So it's like high protein.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
I was told that none of them should be old. They should all be newly ground. There are nuances.
And within that also there are things like in Bengal, for example, the Govindabhog rice.
Yes.
For making pulao, you want the old rice,
Yes.
like my grandmom would say. But for the kheer, the new one. Khichdi could be either because it melts.
Yeah.
So there's so much, and the thing is that all these things are said about Japanese food. And we say that it's such a wonderful culture, which it is. But there's so many intricacies in the Indian food culture.
It's funny you say that. I was telling somebody that now that I have started delving into this, I realize I need like 5-6 births to be able to even skim from the top of Indian vegetarian food. I'm a brought up vegetarian, so just even vegetarian food, if I want to know more about, I need to come back to India in many lives to be able to do it. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at the karmic cycle.
yeah.
To overcome karma, to come back with even more delicious karma.
Yeah. So
that's a nice way of looking at it.
So I'm known to, I mean, I really like food, and my son and my husband like eating too. So for me, there used to be a trend 15 years ago when I used to make Mexican food. Then I started doing Korean food, Japanese food. Now I started doing Japanese food in the house maybe 8 years ago. Now I did sourdough 3 years ago. For me, this like it's somehow I chance upon it because I read so much or I know so much. I'm thinking, why did I waste all those years? I mean, I enjoyed what I did, but I should have done Indian food as well. And so I'm not wasting any more time and really focusing on it. And for myself, to feed myself and my family and my friends.
You know, I wouldn't be too hard on myself on that, because I think it's part of on oneself for that, because it's been a part of the growing up process. So I think all of us have been fascinated by the food of the world, and that's important because it's important to get perspective, to connect, and you need to know what's out there before you can talk about what's in here.
Oh, thank you.
So which I think is fine.
You make me feel better,
I
Kalyan.
think it's fine. And very recently, I was in Goa a couple of weeks back, and I went to eat at a restaurant called Cavatina, which a lot of people have been recommending to me. It's very close to the Taj Exotica Hotel where we were staying in South Goa. And I met Chef Avinash Martins and his wife Tiz. So the two of them run it. So Avinash, went to hospitality school, studied, worked first at the Exotica, I think, then the Oberoi Group, then went abroad, worked at various places, came back to Goa, and 7 years back started Cavatina, where, from what I understand, he used to do pastas and steaks and Western food and things like that. And then about 2 years back is when he started getting into Goan food and presenting that to his diners, and the flavors and the textures and the stories, and going beyond the Goan fish curry or the sourpotel and things like that, but in a format which his audience would appreciate. I mean, just as like say the labeling and the bottles of yours, because you've also seen the spices and pickles sold in fairs, in winter fairs and so on. So in a bit different way from that. So I said that when I met him for the second time, I said that, do you regret starting so late? Because the jump for him also happened when he moved to Goan food. So he said no, because I realized that earlier the market was not ready for that.
Yeah.
And the market was not ready for that. And I'm an emotional person. So if I didn't get a good response, then I would have probably shut down. So he said that now, so I guess everything has its time.
Yeah, it is. It is true. And actually, now it is the story.
So sorry, I'll just pause for a second. I need to go and brief my cook who's just coming. So just give me 2 seconds.